Hi, I'm Shanae Carter. I'm going to give the summaries of chapters 1, 2, and 3. Chapter 1 gives the introduction of communication and communicating through social media. Communication is sharing and creating of meaning through human symbolic interaction. When you communicate through social media, you interact and connect with others all around the world. Communication plays an important role in career success. When communicating through social media, some people have poor spelling and grammar. It is fine to use GR8 for great in a text and over social media websites, but you would not want to use it on a resume, reports, memos, or class papers. Employers have used social media sites to learn more about their future employees, so be careful not to post anything that will harm you in the future. Chapter 1 also talked about 4 principles of communication: process, system, transactional, and intentional or unintentional. There are also 8 essential components of communication: source, sender, message, interference, noise, channel, receiver, feedback, environment, and context. Type of communication is usually distinguished by the number of people involved, by the purpose of the communication, and by the degree of formality with which it occurs. Each type of communication involves appropriate verbal and nonverbal behaviors. The chapter lists 5 myths or misconceptions about communication. Myth 1, communication is a cure-all. Myth 2, quantity means quality. Myth 3, meaning is in the words we use. Myth 4, we have a natural ability to communicate. And myth 5, communication is reversible. Chapter 2 talked about the perception of communicating. Perception involves selecting, organizing, and interpreting information to give meaning to our communication and lives. The first stage of perception is awareness of our surroundings and selecting what we will attend to. Second, we organize the information in a way that makes sense to us. Third, we assign meaning to the information we receive. And finally, we must be able to communicate our perceptions to others. Our past experiences, our physical makeup, our current psychological state determine what we perceive, how we interpret, evaluate, and organize our perceptions and our actions in response to them. To be competent communicators, we must understand the impact that perceptions have on us, how we communicate with others, and what we accept as reality through the communication we receive. First, we must be active as perceivers. Second, we must recognize the uniqueness of our own frame of reference. Third, we must distinguish facts from assumptions. Fourth, we must be aware of the role of perceptions in communication to take others' perceptions into account and to avoid the tendency to assume too much about what we perceive. Fifth, we must keep an open mind and remind ourselves that our perceptions may not be complete or accurate. And finally, we must learn to check perceptions. Chapter 3 talks about connecting self with communication. Our self-concept or self-identity is our perceived self, which consists of an organized collection of beliefs and attitudes about self. Gender is a crucial element in our personal and social identity. The terms sex and gender are often used interchangeably. Sex is defined in biological terms as the physiological difference between males and females. Gender identity occurs when gender becomes part of one's self-concept. As soon as these attributes become known to us and are firmly in place, our perceptions of self are affected by what we believe about our gender as well as how we communicate with others. Our own and others' expectations lead us to act in predictable ways, becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. Self-esteem can affect the predictions people make about themselves. The example given in the chapter was People with positive, high self-esteem confidently attribute their success to past successes. Therefore, they expect to succeed in the future. Whereas people with low self-esteem, however, attribute any success they might have had to luck and so predict they will not necessarily succeed again unless they are lucky. The creation of a positive image of oneself to influence the perceptions of others is referred to as impression management. To better understand impression management, we have to know more about self. Specific tactics used when presenting the self to others are referred to as face work. Suggestions were made that we maintain face by putting on a front when we desire to impress others. The front consists of our choice of behaviors and what we communicate when we are around others whom we want to impress. That concludes my summary of chapters 1, 2, and 3. Thank you for watching.